afternoon, everyone. I'm Nav Kishle from Artpoint Consultancy, and here I bring one-on-one an initiative by Being Production and Raindrops Publishers. Here we are going to meet professionals from L&D background and HR background. And today I have a very esteemed guest with me, Mr. Surya Mohapatra. He's a well-renowned L&D professional, and he has contributed a lot to the profession of L&D and has been guiding many professions like me in the domain of L&D. So I welcome you, sir, and I request you to take us through your journey within the domain of L&D over the period of time. So welcome you, Mr. Mohapatra.
Thank you, Nav. Thank you for this opportunity.
Welcome, sir. So I would like to know about your journey. How did you decided to be a part of L&D? Learning and development is an unusual domain for anyone to choose, and I'm sure that when you started, it would have been a very new domain. So if you can just take us through your entry within the domain of L&D and how you moved on from there.
All right. So I came into L&D by accident. It was definitely not by design. My career began in the field of sales and marketing. Then I was dabbling into channel partner management, franchisee management, business development for some time, for the initial part of my career. And I think in the early 2000, I was working for an education company which was providing technology education. I was working for them in their business development space. I was helping the organization build their franchisee network. And that's where I realized that, I have an affinity, I have a love for education. And that was the closest to learning at that point in time, that I was probably in my career, the early part of my career. And then from there, actually, I moved into the corporate. And then my first, learning foray was in an organization called First Ring, which was later on taken over by ICICI One Source. That's where, so I joined them as a learning and development manager in the L&D space. So a career which started with sales and marketing, business development, channel partner development, actually moved into L&D, and then thereafter I never looked back. So I've spent almost 2 decades in the learning and development space now. I'm enjoying this journey, and I believe every day when I wake up that there is just so much to learn and so much to do in this role.
Right. So with an experience of 2 decades within L&D, and before that in an experience and stint within sales and business development, what according to you is the essence of L&D overall?
I think essence of L&D is of great significance. If you look at organizations today are going through massive transformational disruptive change. They're dealing with pressure from outside and inside, and they need to deal with that pressure. For them to deal with these pressures, they have to take strategic actions, to be able to remain their competitive position in the market, to stay ahead of the curve, to innovate and come up with new products and solutions. They need to take strategic actions. And for them to be able to take strategic actions, they need to have the right capability in the organization. They need to have the
Right.
people with right skill set, right competencies, who would have the capability to take strategic actions and lead the organization forward. And also organizations need enablers, the right infrastructure, the right technology, the right ecosystem. So in the whole scheme of things is capability. Organizations need the right capability to take strategic actions. So the role of L&D, cannot be overrated. And so if organizations will have to survive and thrive in the midst of this disruptive change, and if they need to have the right capability, it's the L&D function which can play a crucial role, the lead role in building that capability in the organization. So to me, that's the essence of learning and development function.
Okay. And what are the changes which you have witnessed or which you have seen over the years within the domain of L&D? How it has evolved, with your journey?
Um, L&D, the way it was when I started and L&D today is very different. And what has changed in L&D depends on what has changed outside, what has changed in the economy, what has changed in the industry, what has changed in our ecosystem. So there is a lot that has changed. Technology has become a very important driver of business, economy, production, productivity, efficiency, and everything. We are seeing a large number of millennials coming into the workforce. I think by 2020 or 25, we will have 3 out of 4 employees in an organization as millennials. So with that, there is a sea change that's happening in the way people learn, people consume content, in the way technology is driving, making learning all pervasive, and the way the shift has happened from the trainer or the facilitator or the L&D practitioner being at the center stage to a scenario today where the learner is at the center stage. The learner decides what he or she wants to access. He decides what's relevant to him or her. He decides how to find out, where to find out, who is the subject matter expert that he or she can access. So it's all about the learner. It's about the learner experience. It's about the journey that the learner goes through. It's about the preferences, the learning styles, the learning preferences of the learner. It's the learner which is at the center stage. So when I started 2 decades ago, it's the trainer or the facilitator who was at the center stage who was driving learning. Today, it's the learner who drives learning for himself or herself. That's a major change that has happened in the L&D space.
Awesome. So in other ways, or other words, I would also present it that earlier it was more product driven, where you would give a product that this is what is the training which you have to take, and now it has become more service driven. So where the consumer decides how to go and where to go and what kind of product they require for themselves.
Yes. What kind of product they need, where to go, where to find it, how much time they can spend for learning, where they will learning. My preference could be learning on the go. If I'm traveling, if I'm at the airport, if I'm waiting for my turn at the doctor's clinic, can I use those 15 minutes to learn something? The whole gamut of things that have changed.
Right. So the value for time and money has increased.
Yes.
Yeah. So
yes, absolutely.
as an L&D professional, if I want to enter the profession today, and what people used to come earlier, maybe 20 years back or 10 years back. What are the qualities an L&D professional must have today?
Well, I think the most important thing the L&D professional should have today is the first and foremost is empathy. Empathy for your people, empathy for your stakeholders, for your customers, for your partners, understanding their preferences, understanding their needs. I think that's a very vital trait that L&D practitioners need to develop. Another important skill is going to be business acumen. Understanding your business and in what direction the big business is moving. What are the nuances of the business? What are the challenges? What are the priorities of your organization? What are the strategies of your organization? And the ability to align the learning interventions to those strategies, priorities, problems, etc. The third thing I would say, technology. It's very important to understand and master technologies that can enable learning. Because if you don't master technology, you'll get killed by technology.
Right. Right.
If L&D practitioners do not really understand how they can make the best use of technology to disseminate knowledge to their workforce, to their learners in the most effective, efficient, engaging, interesting manner, technology will come and take over.
Correct.
So that's definitely another important thing. I would say analytics, understanding data, using data to understand what is working for your learners, what is not working, what are their preferences, and what they don't like, what should be the content type, which is relevant, appropriate for which audience type. I think understanding that is also absolutely important. And well, so far I have not talked about any of the skills which traditionally were believed to be important. I didn't talk about content creation, content development skills. I didn't talk about facilitation skills. They are a given. They're absolutely given. All of us need to have those skills. We need to have the ability to design, develop, and deliver great content. But those skills alone will not take us far. We really need to understand great business acumen. We need to have great business acumen. We need to understand technology. We need to develop analytic skills. We need to develop great empathy to be able to become successful in this space. If I have to sum it up, I think L&D practitioners need to have the right mindset, the right skill set, and the right tool set. Skills alone will not take us far. We need to have the right mindset. We need to become agile ourselves. We need to be prepared to change our mindset, to adapt to the current scenario, adapt to the new ways of learning, and so on. And also, we need to be great at using the right tools to become effective. So it's a combination of all the three.
Right. So you also mentioned the increase of millennials in the organization in another maybe 4 or 5 years. I think 80% of the employee strength would be at least millennials.
Right.
So what is their expectation as how do we engage with millennials as L&D professionals? Because they have very different approach towards life in general. They have very different approach towards career in general. So what is their expectation and how do we engage them in the entire process?
Yeah. So their outlook towards life is slightly different from Gen X or baby boomers, so on. While both, I think all generations want to become successful in their personal and professional life. So that's a common thread across all generations. Every human being across generations wants to be successful. But the tests, the preferences, the outlook those things vary. For example, the baby boomers or the Gen X, only their life revolved around work. But today the millennials want to work hard and play hard. You
Right.
know, so the preferences have changed. So as L&D practitioners, we need to understand those subtle differences. We need to understand these differences in tastes and preferences. And especially because your question is about millennials, I think is important that we provide them content, we provide them learning opportunities which is relevant to them. Anything that is irrelevant, they're not going to like it. You can't force them
Right.
to learn. In the good old days, whatever the trainer used to teach, the learners used to learn. They never used to question, why I'm learning this. But today, millennials are going to question the relevance of everything that you teach. And the other challenge and the advantage today is access to content, seamless access to content. So if you cannot provide them quality content, they anyway have access to content. They will figure out. Today there is Google, there is YouTube, there are MOOCs, there is plenty of content that is available. So you are not just competing with other trainers or facilitators, you are competing with several sources of knowledge. So you have to be top-notch and the best. So quality of content is absolutely important. Learning has to be engaging. It cannot be boring and monotonous. Learning has to be on the go. They should be, that's the learning should be available to them whenever they want to have it. If they're at home, they're way going back from office to home, they're at the airport, wherever they are, they would like to have access to content on the go. And so it becomes extremely important for the L&D professional, the practitioners, to relook at the way they disseminate knowledge. Another important thing, the millennials would love if you engage them in your learning design and development process. Traditionally, facilitators, trainers do not involve learners in their design process. They believe that they know their audience the best. They know what their audience needs. So they don't. So they define and decide what, according to them, is relevant for their audience. But today's millennial generation is very different. If you involve them in the learning design and development process, if you make them an integral part, if you invite them to be part of your design process, if you take their inputs, if you make them key contributors to the learning design process, and as you disseminate and deploy learning solutions, if you make them champions, learning champions, if you make them knowledge champions, if you make them part of learning circles, study circles, etc., they would love it. They love that engagement. They love that participation. They love and prefer a collaborative learning approach, not just a one-way learning approach where the trainer teaches and the learners listen to the trainer.
So it's very participatory in sense, right?
Very,
they
very
want to be a part of it. Yeah.
Yes.
That's an amazing insight. That's an amazing insight, because I would agree to it. In our time, whenever the teacher or the trainer used to tell us that this is what it is, we would just follow it, without questioning what is being told and how it is being told, because that was relevant at that point of time. But now, of course, with the change in generation, a lot of things have changed, and in fact, receiving has also changed in lot many ways. Right?
Yes.
So,
recently, I was in a engineering college in Bangalore. I was delivering a guest lecture there, and after my session, a few of the professors came to me and then they asked me, and they told me, Mr. Mohapatra, it's very, very challenging to teach students today. I said, what happened? They said, no, when we teach them in the classroom, they would Google the same topic and then they'll stand up and the challenge our teaching. They'll say, teacher, you are wrong. Google is saying something else. So this has really made it, challenging, difficult for the facilitators, for the trainers, teachers, professors to disseminate knowledge. But I think it's an exciting opportunity at this time.
Yeah,
Yes,
so it keeps the facilitators on toes, right? We also have to
absolutely.
update ourselves.
Knowledge. But I think it's an exciting opportunity at this time.
Yeah,
Yes,
so it keeps the facilitators on toes, right? We also have to
absolutely.
update ourselves.
Absolutely. All the time.
So, drawing your attention to the current situation which we all are facing, the COVID-19 situation which the entire world is witnessing right now, and as a result, we all have been forced to change our thought process, and we have been limited in terms of our movements. So, how do you see this situation affecting the profession of L&D in the current times and in the future times after the COVID-19 crisis is taken care of, maybe 6 months down the line or 1 year down the line? What are the changes which will come up, and how do we? I think there would be a lot of evolution of L&D. So, what is your thought process on that?
Well, COVID-19, as all of us know, has brought in unprecedented times for all of us. Never in the history of mankind, 3 billion people were locked down in their homes at the same time. Now, as we move beyond COVID-19, and I'm sure in about a few months from now, we will definitely achieve victory over coronavirus.
Yes.
But that's not the important point. The fact of the matter is, even if coronavirus or COVID-19 situation a problem is solved, the world beyond COVID-19 is not going to be the same. It's going to become very different. The whole world will look very different. The way we do business, we have been doing business, the way we are going to do business in future, the way we are going to engage with our customers, the way we are going to participate in our social interactions, the way we are going to lead our daily life, all of these are going to change. So this means as L&D practitioners, we also need to understand what are going to be the nuances of this new world, and then how do we prepare ourselves for that? What's going to happen to the L&D space? Few things would happen for sure. Organizations will definitely cut down the spending on training, but I think that may not be a absolutely correct statement, but they're definitely going to cut down on non-value add training. Spending on nice to have training programs will significantly reduce. Organizations would definitely prefer online, virtual, digitized training over classroom face-to-face training. Many of the conferences, seminars, workshops that we used to see, which used to attract congregation of people, will not happen in the near future. Technology is going to be a big player in the learning space as well. So these are some of the changes that we are going to see. So when we talk about organizations cutting down spending, not going to spend on nice to have training programs, etc. This may sound a little worrisome, a little concerning for the L&D practitioners, because right after COVID-19, organizations will focus. The immediate priority would be to get back on the road, get back on the feet, and they would like to bounce back. That's going to be their priority. If we go and tell them that, I'm a training provider, I can train your employees on A, B, C, D, they'll say, all right, we'll talk to you later, but our priority today is something else. So now the question is, what does it mean to the L&D? What does it mean to the institution? One good news is organizations will need help. Obviously they will need help because they need to bounce back. They need to become resilient. They need to transform the business. They need to bring in new business models. as we see, ITC very recently tied up with Domino's distribution network, and they said, we have those, grocery products and other products, but we don't have our door-to-door distribution engine. You guys have a door-to-door distribution engine. Can we come together and then make it come up with a new business model? So organizations will come up with new business models to survive and thrive.
Right.
So people need to quickly embrace and adopt these new business models. That the organization need to bounce back and become. So anybody who can go to them and then tell them that I will help you become more resilient, I will help you transform your business, I will help you, kind of enabling your employees to adopt new business models. They will love it. They'll be interested in talking to us. Because ultimately, for them to bounce back, they need to have the right capability in the people. So now the L&D practitioners will have to shift their focus from the traditional, conventional offerings to offerings which will make a difference to organizations, to offerings which will enable organizations to bounce back, transform, introduce new business models. If we can make that paradigm shift, if we can reimagine our role, our activities, our own business model, then I think we have a great chance to survive, because our customers would need help to survive in the post-COVID-19 world. And if we can help them survive and help them thrive, we definitely have a great opportunity. So I'm not pessimistic about the future of L&D professionals post-COVID-19, but I'm worried about L&D practitioners who refuse to change, who believe that we will go back to the old world in the next couple of months, who believe that things will all be the same. We will stand up and deliver training. We'll continue to deliver classroom training in the conventional subjects or topics. They would definitely have difficulty. They'll have challenging. Another important thing for all of us would be to adapt to and embrace new technologies very, very quickly. Because our program design, our content, our program structure, everything, most of these have been designed for the conventional learning approach in a classroom setup. Now we'll have to change everything. We'll have to change our delivery mechanism. We'll have to repurpose our content. We'll have to really decide our engagement strategy. We'll have to really figure out how can we do a team building activity online, which always is to happen in a outdoor location. But how can you do that? And how can you do that virtually online? We'll have to really reimagine and rethink. And technology is definitely going to be a savior. But we need to adapt to the new technology.
That's amazing, sir. That's a beautiful insight, and of course, it tells us a lot about the future changes and evolution, and how do we have to evolve as L&D practitioners, right? So, I'm sure there are many things which we would like to discuss, and there are many things which I would like to know from you, which is a kind of learning, because the kind of knowledge and experience you have is like a Pandora's box, and I would like to open it, one by one. So today I would leave here because we are running short of time. But I would also like to have a regular interaction with you on various aspects of L&D, maybe once in a week, where we can actually talk about the way forward, technology, different methodologies of training, L&D, and how L&D practitioners can evolve. Also, there is one more aspect which I feel is that the retail trainings or L&D department would increase, because it will help individuals to add value to their own profile or their own personalities. Right?
Yes.
So I would like to have such discussions. Thank you for giving your time. And L&D Global, being you are the one of the founders of L&D Global chapter Bangalore and India. So It was pleasure having you on our platform and having your insights on the profession of L&D. Thanks for your time, sir.
Thank you so much for the opportunity. I really enjoyed having this conversation and look forward to talking to you again.
Sure, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.